Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Killer Collab podcast. Once again, I'm joined with Chris Lato from Reaper Films.
Yo, 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 yo.
What's up?
What's up?
How's it going? Good day?
Going good? Yeah.
Okay. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to bring you another episode, another volume of 10 movies you probably have never seen or heard of. Volume 2. Now, putting together this list, we like to bring in different movies from different genres and indie movies and just rare movies that we just had to come across of in our experience of watching films as we do very often with all the exorbitant amount of time that we have.
Okay.
Okay, first on our list today, we want to talk about Ghost World. Is our number one or the first? Not in any particular order, but the first movie that had come across. Chris, you had added this to the list.
Yeah. I thought Ghost World was a fun movie. It's got Scarlett Johansson before she was Scarlett Johansson.
Very young. Very young.
And Thora Birch. And it's funny because Thora Birch at the time was supposed to be the new, up and coming star. And she kind of fell off after American Pie, I guess. Or not American Pie.
American Beauty?
American Beauty.
And then the Kevin Spacey movie, right?
Yeah. And then Scarlett Johansson kind of blew up after Lost in Translation.
Yep.
Kind of blew her up.
Well, Thora Birch had a big, I think that was around the time where she actually just got off Now and Then. And she was very like she was the girl that was going to be the new it girl for.
She was going to be the Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, but I just don't think she had the chops.
No.
She didn't have the chops. She's a very, her type of acting is very one dimensional.
Right.
She's the big breasted la-di-da girl. Right. She doesn't have depth to her. Mm-hmm. I don't think she just has that skill. But tell them about the movie.
Yeah, so it's about these two girls that are teenagers and they just kind of walk around town meeting people and doing stuff. And Steve Buscemi's in it, and she meets Steve Buscemi, who's like a kind of a I don't even know how to describe him. He's a record collector, and he's like
he's like an antisocial
kind of he's an introvert, and he has kind of guy that would live with his mom till he's 50.
Yeah, he's that guy who has a roommate till he's 50.
Right, right.
So he's that guy who just doesn't have relationships. He's just very outcast. He's just scorned by the whole society of social interaction.
And they start hanging out, and I don't know, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, well, how they met was they saw an ad in the newspaper. They were sitting in a diner, and they saw an ad in the paper I think it was just reaching out to a girl that he saw, and he was trying to get reattached with her. It was like the original Craigslist misconnections type thing, but it was in the newspaper. Mm-hmm. So they wanted to play a joke on him. They were sitting in a diner, and then they were like, "Well, let's call. Let's see if he shows up. Let's just." And then they call him. He shows up, and they're just sitting there making fun of him.
Right.
And then I guess she just started to feel sorry for him, and then tried to accidentally bump into him somehow.
Right.
And they figure out his name, and then she gets somewhat attached to him, and or just feel sorry. Maybe that sympathy factor just did it. I don't know.
My favorite part of that movie is there's this guy that is like a Jeff Spicoli ripoff from Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Okay, yeah.
And he's just like this burnout. He goes into this convenience store. Hilarious. I wish he was in the movie more. Yeah, I mean, he's only got 2 scenes.
It was a total obscure character. Yeah. He was just no shirt.
2 scenes, and I wish he was in it more because he was hilarious. He was so funny. But I don't know. It was a cool movie. It's cool seeing Scarlett Johansson before she was famous. And
oh yeah, I love those movies like that. The early episode or early movies of big stars that are nowadays. I just have a big fan of that. But the story, Ghost World, I don't know, the ending kind of gives you a translation. But there's a lot of different interpretations of it. But you guys give it a look and see what kind of interpretations, and maybe leave a message in the comments and let us know what your interpretation, because there are many different interpretations that you can have with it, because it's just that type of ending.
Right.
You just really don't know. Is it a coming of age? Is it like somebody just leaving the world? Is it somebody like there's a different interpretation that
Right.
I have experienced with it. There's just different factors into
Yeah,
it.
I'm a big coming of age fan too. Like I
Yeah.
like movies like that. Stand by Me is one of my favorite. That's a
Oh,
good one. All right,
all right,
moving on.
moving on up. Next movie, The Autopsy of Jane Doe. Now, we had a conversation of whether this would qualify, but in doing further research, we actually saw that not a lot of people actually did see this movie.
Yeah,
Originally, it came out on video on demand. I don't know what platform particularly, and then
couldn't tell you.
they
And
released
they
it in the
released it.
theaters, and it didn't really make
Didn't do
anything.
anything. Like US, they said it made $10,000 in the
$10,000
US.
in the and but well
That's
they said
crazy.
because it was the director was a new director of American made films or
Yeah,
English speaking films.
he was um
Norwegian
Norwegian. That's it.
Norwegian filmmaker, and he just didn't have that big of a draw yet, not here anyway.
Right.
Internationally, he made about 6 million. Still very low for the Hollywood standards,
Right. And
but
it's on Netflix, I think now. I know it was on Netflix not
yeah,
too long ago. I don't know if it still is. I think it still is.
yeah, they move movies in and out of there
Yeah,
first.
I can't keep track of them.
Yeah, it's really weird how they do it. But this movie is basically a movie. It has to deal with like witches and witchcraft too, and like she gets
You just gave it away.
well, well,
Spoiler alert.
when they open her rib cage, you got to see some of that
Well, it's
stuff.
basically just a dead lady on a
Yeah,
table, and this guy and his son are coroners, and
doing an
they're
autopsy.
doing an autopsy, and like all this weird stuff starts happening in
It's very sci-fi and
the
paranormal.
building, and then like there's a secret that comes out that Tony just revealed.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't think it's necessarily a secret. I just like the way that they do it.
Oh yeah, like the atmosphere of this movie is awesome.
You,
I'm a big fan of slow burns that build this amazing tense atmosphere, but have a payoff.
yes.
Like there's a movie called It Comes at Night
Yeah.
that does that, and there's
No
no
payoff.
payoff, and I'm like, the movie's over. What?
Yeah.
But yeah, this one definitely has a payoff, and
I think that
got Emil Hirsch
yep.
and Brian Cox
Yes.
are the two main characters. Actually, I think there's three people in the whole. Well, other than the body, I
Yeah.
think there's three people in the whole movie.
It's very small cast. Well, you see in the beginning when they found the body. There's a lot of cops.
Oh yeah, that's right.
At the beginning, how it happens, and then they
Yeah.
bring him like late at night. The coroner. They give Brian Cox and Hirsch his son, trying to bring him on. Well, they want him to go to school and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
my
But
son kind of feels like he doesn't really want to do this as a job, but
yeah,
it's kind of like a family deal.
yeah, like he felt like he got stuck with it because of his
Right.
because his dad is the only coroner in this one coroner town,
Right.
and he's got a girlfriend, and he just like doesn't want to be in that whole like lifestyle of living in the
Right.
basement pretty much and just looking at dead bodies. It's a very weird situation, especially growing up in that at that age.
But every year I make a top 10 favorite movies of the year
Yes.
list, and this was definitely one of the top ones of that year, 2016, when it came out.
When you mentioned the atmosphere, I definitely like the design of the sound, the score.
Mhm.
Like when you're watching this movie, you have to be like not you have to feel the intricate sounds, the tones, and all of the things that they put on film,
Mhm.
like what they actually show you, because it puts you in that mood. Like it makes you scared for what's
Right.
going to happen, and I think this director captures that really well with the sound design and set design.
Yeah, for sure.
So it gives them that opportunity to like
An
catch you off
interesting,
guard.
an interesting side note: the body is a real person that literally laid there
Yes.
lifeless for hours and hours and hours. Pretty cool.
I don't know how. Well, I mean, unless
I
she
don't
was
either.
sleeping, or I don't know.
I don't
She
know
probably
how they
fell
did
asleep
it.
a couple times. She
But
had to, unless
I
there
don't
was
know.
like very short
Yeah,
sets.
it was crazy though.
All right, next movie on our list: Safety Not Guaranteed. Now, I've seen this movie in the past. I haven't watched it recently. I saw it when it first came out, and it flew under the radar because it was. I don't know. I really don't know why it flew under the radar. It has a pretty good cast.
Small budget.
But
And the people, at the time, I'm trying to remember the damn name of the director. Mark Duplass. So the Duplass brothers, they make a lot of really low budget movies, like $50,000 movies, and they actually teach people that want to make movies how to make them with like very very little money. And this was, I don't know if it was his first movie, but it was one of his first movies, and it had Aubrey Plaza, which
I love her.
I don't even know if she was. I mean, was she
Parks and Rec? I think it was.
was she in 2012? Like, did anybody know who she was?
I don't know. Well, we talk about 2012 like it was so long ago, but it was
It
like
was
10 years ago.
Yeah.
10 years. Wow. I feel like we're getting old.
Yeah, we are. So it was her and Mark Duplass, and he puts an ad in the paper about wanting to meet someone to time travel with him.
Yep.
And the thing says safety not guaranteed in it, which obviously became the title.
Yes.
But so this weird kind of girl, she meets up with him to go on.
Well, to write the story
time travel
in the beginning, because it's the character from that girl, or it's I forgot his name, but he's a writer for this magazine, and they're at a pitch meeting for the next article, and he runs across that article of or that want ad for safety not guaranteed, and it was like, okay, let me get Aubrey Plaza and the other intern. So he's going to write a story on this, but in the side note, he's actually from that city.
right.
So I think that was the only reason that he wanted to go. But he actually had to write an article about what's going on, and basically she took the reins of it, and she wanted to do the investigative reporting and figure out if this guy's for real or if he's just a quack or it's a kook. And he's also done another movie with it has similar that horror movie that he did. Didn't he do a horror movie that similar?
Mark Duplass?
Yes.
Yeah, Creep.
Creep.
It was
yes.
a found footage.
Yes, and he did Creep
and he
2.
did Creep 2. Yeah, that just came out.
But the film style looked almost like like it. Like it was
super
so
low
weird.
Budget and
like it just I was like, when I was watching it and having doing the interactions, he just had the same, like it just felt like it was the same character. Like
right.
I don't know why.
It probably was.
It could have been.
Yeah.
It could have been, but he wanted to go back before he killed all those people.
Right.
So he could do it again. But it did feel like it was like that same universe. It was really weird when I saw.
And like all their movies kind of feel like that too. Here, I'll run a list of what they've made. It says Mark and J. Duplass.
Like I just thought it was just really weird how it just had that same feeling of his just like interaction and his just as how he went it.
They did a movie called Baghead that would totally qualify for this list. It was actually pretty good. Jeff, who lives at home, that had the dude from How I Met Your Mother, the tall guy.
Oh,
what the hell's his name?
I can't.
You're getting old, man. Jason Segel.
Yes.
Yeah, he's in that. And then they've made a couple other things.
I have a love-hate with Jason Segel. I love him in How I Met Your Mother, but anything else I just can't. I just think he just does Marshall so good that he just implants that in my head, and I just love that series. I have the Bro Code book. I lived that whole entire series until the ending. That ruined it for me, but that's another episode. I could do a whole episode on just the ending of How I Met Your Mother. But Jason Segel, I just have just anything else he's done acting. I just don't. It doesn't click with me. I don't buy into his character. Right. Like no matter how he's selling it. Like Forgetting Sarah Marshall, I thought he was very blah. Like I just don't like. There was nothing. There was nothing there. Like you see he does a nude scene. That he had to do a new scene for him to break out of Marshall. So basically, that pretty much. I was like, no, I can't do this.
Yeah.
It was just really weird. I just couldn't accept it. But Safety Not Guaranteed was is a movie for, you know what, if you like movies that,
Quirky,
yeah,
quirky, goofy.
and you just you question it yourself,
Yeah.
like, is he for
I mean,
real?
basically, if you like Aubrey Plaza, like
Yeah,
all
I
her
love Aubrey
movies
Plaza,
are the same. Like she's just the weird, quirky, like
except Chucky,
odd
except for Child's
girl.
Play,
Yeah,
the new Child's
the
Play.
new
She
one.
was
She was
she was
actually
a
good.
mom.
Yeah,
She was
yeah.
a mom, so it was a
This
definitely
is definitely
different
different
character.
for her. Yeah.
So it was really, yeah, it was really. I actually liked that one. I
I
mean,
liked it too. It got a lot of hate, but I thought it was great.
well, because everyone's
It's
bringing it to,
modern. It's a
yeah,
modern version of Chucky, which I
it
thought was really cool.
yeah, and it was that whole reboot culture that everyone
Yeah,
is, that the classics are, that the classic people are very hateful on, because they just hate how they retell the story. That's
right,
not how it happened, or
right.
that's not who Chucky is.
And I'm like, if you want the same story, just watch the original.
Yeah, like,
Right.
it's like, why would,
Why remake something and make it exactly the same?
yes, it's just not realistic. It's
Right.
just not how you evolve, and especially with new technology nowadays, like, there's different things to fear,
Mm,
because the whole Terminator thing of
sure.
robots taking over the world,
And
and
everybody watching you at all times. And
yes, which that's really
Big
true, because that
Brother.
camera right there is looking right at
Yeah.
me. I don't know why, but yes. Oh, next movie on our list, Shotgun Stories. Now, I have an attachment to this movie. Not necessarily with the father relationship, because that was different. How he was in the beginning, you see the father of these kids die, and I forget his name. The main character. He played.
General Zod.
Yeah, it was General Zod character, the guy who played General Zod. He's pretty much the leader of this family, the older brother of this family, and he's the oldest son of the father who died, who actually had another side family when he left the mother, and the whole father and mother relationship was very um, negative, and but that's not really the story. The story is about the family who, the two rival families pretty much, and basically the family that the father left this family for, he's pretty much, I don't know how to explain it. It's the new family had such high respect for him because he treated, but then the old family was like, that's not who this guy was.
Right.
That's
They
not
knew
who
the
this.
real
Yeah,
dad. They
yeah.
knew who he really was,
You,
and he kind of put a
like a,
sheep's clothing
yeah, over the
over the
wolf.
new family. Yeah.
Yeah. And so basically, the new family got nothing but the good, and the old family pretty
Right.
much got the drunk and the abusive father
Right.
who was a POS. And so then the oldest brother of all of them pretty much just laid it out there at the funeral, and then the new family was like, "That don't stop it!" And they started really getting, and then they started fighting with, and they
Mm,
beat up the younger,
yeah.
or one of the younger brothers, and then the family's like, "Oh, we're not playing that game."
Right.
So, and it's pretty much
It's like
like,
back and forth and
yes, yeah, it's pretty much like a big war,
kind
but
of mindless war, actually.
well, yeah,
Like they started
but
doing bad stuff to each
that
other.
it's that loyalty, and like, you mess with my family, you're gonna
Right.
get it, and that's something where I was like, I felt like very close to it, because when growing up in my family, like, we were always back and forth fighting, like fist fights,
Mm,
like we were a brutal family, like, but when someone else tried to mess with us,
right.
our whole family was like, we're like as unified as you could possibly be,
Of course.
within closed doors, at each other's throats.
I
But
think it's usually like that
yeah.
with big families.
Well, it was only four of us.
That's still a lot. It's a lot of kids.
Yeah, but my oldest sister is, growing up. She was, I mean, she was pretty bad, but then she grew up. She's actually the one with the biggest family now. But the youngest sister, oh man, she's the one I used to send to all. Like, if I had a problem with a girlfriend, I sent my youngest sister, because she was just like she was so brutal, and I loved it. And my brother, I used to send for like like for the same reason, but for younger kids before he was 18,
Mm,
and it was just interesting. It was just the chemistry that we had was basically similar to that. Like, you mess with us, we're gonna
right.
end you, and like, we're gonna win. And
Mm,
that's no ifs, ands, or buts. So that movie, like, I felt very close to.
yeah. General Zod's name is Michael Shannon.
Michael Sheen, okay.
He was in Boardwalk Empire also. If you ever
I
watched
haven't
that,
seen that in so long, and
yeah,
that's about my hometown.
good show.
It's about my
Yeah,
hometown.
right.
It's so weird. But I just think, I just I don't know. I never really got into Boardwalk Empire. I think I saw the episode. I just don't like those. I don't. I guess I don't like the time. I don't like those time movies.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know. I just something just doesn't. I don't know. Doesn't click for me when.
Yeah, it was a good show.
No, I mean,
Terrible ending.
I
Like the way that show ended. Like I think it had six seasons
wasn't
maybe.
Buscemi in that movie?
Yeah, Steve Buscemi played the lead. Um, but it's gangsters and Atlantic City
Yep.
and
Like I said,
um,
I know like the old stories because, like I said, I grew up there. I learned about all that stuff. I just never got into the show because I just
yeah,
didn't. I didn't want to Hollywood it. I guess I didn't
right.
want to see like, or I just didn't get into the Hollywood appeal of it. I guess I don't know.
It was a cool show. I mean,
Yeah.
if you like gangster stuff, then you probably like it.
Yeah. All right.
All
Next
right.
movie, Safe.
Nope.
With
Oh, where are we?
oh no,
Yeah,
no
Honeymoon.
Honeymoon. Honeymoon. We're doing Honeymoon. Now this
There's a
movie,
couple movies named Honeymoon too, and this is the scary one.
this one is the first one that popped up. I guess it's because it's one of the newest ones.
Yeah, yeah.
So this was the first one that popped up when I did a search for it. Now, what's that one about?
So this couple, I guess they're having issues, or no, they just got married,
Yes,
and they're
they're on their honeymoon.
they go on their honeymoon, and it's like Evil Dead cabin that they
I mean, it was,
decide to vacation at. It was just a cabin in the woods, basically.
and apparently she actually used to go there as a kid.
Yeah, yeah, and so they get there, and it's the middle of the night, and the guy wakes up, and his wife's not there, so he starts like looking around for her and can't find her, and she keeps doing this over and over throughout the movie, and he's like following her through the woods to see what the hell's going on and all this stuff, and it's kind of weird.
It's very dark. It's a very
It's
dark
very
movie.
dark. It's very, again, that atmosphere building movie.
The sound too.
I felt like it had a good payoff. I don't think Tony liked the payoff, but
Not so much. Not so
I thought it was good. Again, just slow moving, slow burn
I wanted to go. I
atmospheric.
wanted it to go in so many different directions. Like I had literally the movie planned out in my head how I wanted it to go and how I
Mm,
wanted to. Like I saw that where it was building, and I didn't expect the ending necessarily. I just thought it or wanted it to go a different avenue.
right,
I wanted it to go darker. I wanted it to go deeper into more of a character like development and different sides of different characters.
right,
I guess I wanted more characters in the movie. I just don't think like because these two people are literally all you see throughout the majority of the
right.
movie,
Yeah,
about
yeah,
80% of the
for sure.
movie. Like so, like I wanted more out of both.
Hmm.
I mean, they were great acting ability. It was good, like how they portrayed it, how they did the script, and how they acted in it. It was really well done. I wanted it to go a different direction. I just don't think that. I mean, you might like the payoff. You if you like, I don't know. I really don't want to give this one away. I personally didn't like it, but I just don't like
Right.
that type of scenario.
Right. I think if you like The Witch, if you like, um,
Yeah, I have
I
nothing
don't
to
even
really
know.
compare to it. Like
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot.
um, if you like atmospheric type movies, you will like this majority.
Mm,
If you I mean you could like the whole thing, but majority of the sound, how they did the sound, how they built this the how the director art to it, directorial art to the film quality of all that, you will like it if you can appreciate how they build it with the
mm,
sound and how the what they portrayed on screen. I think you would like that type of development if you are an atmospheric type person,
right.
which actually will bring me to that next movie, but that Chris didn't like. But I think if you like a movie that it puts you in their shoes with the sound, with the feeling, you get that feeling of attachment to the characters. But I just, like I said, I just wanted it to go a different direction. I had
Mm,
hopes where that the direction it was going to go, but it was just not where I wanted it to go.
right.
So
Now, before we move on, I know me and Tony literally have completely opposite taste in
taste,
movies.
yes.
So, um, he's very he likes artsy movies and
like I appreciate the
Right.
design of like the sounds, the quality of the scenes.
Hmm.
I like the scene design, how they put like just the camera angles. I like those how they build the
Hmm.
suspense in not words spoken, but I like build feeling how the actor or the character feels by, and I think a movie is successful by being able to put the audience in that character's shoes
Hmm.
or having you feel empathy for that character, and like
Right.
I just grow attachments to like good artsy feels like
Right. And I'm more simpleton. Like I don't want to think a whole lot. I just want to watch a movie, know what's going on all the time, and just be entertained by it. I don't want to sit there and have to dissect a movie and think about it and all that. That's not me. So if you want that kind of movie, then we'll get Tony's recommendations. And if you want simple movies, watch mine.
if you don't want to
So
think,
we
go
have a
crazy.
very diverse list here.
Very
We should be able to
well. Shotgun
appeal
Stories
to a
wasn't
lot of
really.
people.
Shotgun Story was more of a
Yeah, that was more my speed.
yeah.
That's probably why I liked it of all the ones you recommended. That's the one I liked the most.
This week. I mean,
Yeah,
last
this
week
week.
I think it was pretty good. I think we were both in similar, you know.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah. All right, next movie, Safe. Julianne Moore, 1995. Now, as I was saying, this is very artsy. It puts you in the shoes of Julianne Moore in a very troubling time where she. It's a movie about like
Let's say what it is. It's a girl sick the whole movie, or thinks she's sick, or something.
hypochondria, paranoia, anxiety, all those type of
Right.
mental disorders
Like
are involved
making
into it.
herself sick, or
Yes,
something. Like
like
it's weird.
she's the paranoia and well, if you notice throughout the entire movie, you hear in the background either a TV or a radio describing something going on, like the fumes
Or
of it.
vacuum cleaners.
Yeah, it's
Like the
like
beginning of this movie, I'm like, what
the,
is that noise? Like, there's somebody vacuuming while they're talking. Like,
it's the
it's
sound design.
bizarre.
It's
Yeah.
supposed to make you feel uncomfortable. It's supposed
Oh,
to
it definitely did that.
exactly. Well, like I said, if the director or filmmaker could put you in the shoes and make you feel something like
Right.
it's uncomfortable, uneasy, or just awkward, if it makes you feel that, I think it's very successful because you're able to attach yourself to the art.
Right.
And I am just that type of appreciation for that type of art. I like to be able like you're in a museum. I'm one of the persons that can actually sit on a stool or sit on the bench and stare at a painting and pretty much just go through the entire thing, go left, right, left. Like I'll go through the entire painting and just try to feel or understand. Because even with every paint stroke, like you have some type of like motion or type of feeling as you're
Mm.
doing it. I feel like movies that can do similar to that and have you just so focused on it and so like into it that I like I said that's how I make a movie or see movies that I like
Right.
because I can attach myself to it. It sucks me in
Mm.
to the art. And this movie, like I said, the way it set up shots, the way how the sound design, because all you hear is like how that paranoia is setting in because you
Mm.
feel like you are being like sucked into what she's feeling. Like basically, it's her you're hearing is what she can hear, is what she's hearing because I think that's how they designed it, how they wanted her to start to build up this hypochondria, anxiety. Like they wanted you to feel that anxiousness that she was feeling. So
Right.
that's how they designed the movie and how they and I just think she portrays it very well. I think she personifies the actual disorders on there very well. The big representation of a lot of these disorders that people actually really suffer,
Mm.
and I think it puts her in a category. Like I don't really like too many of her movies. Like
See, I like Julian Moore, but
I can't think
I
of too
didn't
many
like
movies.
this one.
See, I can't think of any movies that I liked her.
Like, I love Boogie Nights.
Nah,
Um,
I mean I liked
there's a movie
Heather
called
Graham.
Shortcuts that she was in. She was good in.
Mm.
Um, oh, Big Lebowski.
Okay, I like that. I
Uh,
can't think of her character though.
she played. Remember the girl that was floating across the ceiling? That was her.
Oh,
And there was a movie
guess she
called The
didn't stick with me.
Forgotten that was actually decent.
Didn't see
That
that.
would probably qualify for this list.
Hmm.
But yeah, I usually like her stuff, and I don't know, I just couldn't connect with this one. She came off as this annoying. Like I hate people that are like have an ailment every day, and it's just like,
Yes.
all right, nobody
Yeah.
wants to hear your shit.
But like I said, people actually suffer from these disorders, and I think it gave a real representation of what people actually feel that have these disorders. I think it's allows us to recognize certain disorders that we wouldn't normally recognize in our daily life. Like I can go through my entire day and not run into somebody walking around with oxygen tanks or like
All right,
or just have that feeling of anxiousness, and maybe they do, but it's not like portrayed, like it's not like I don't recognize it like
mm-hmm.
walking down the street.
Right,
But I think this actually puts you in the mindset and then the head of what these people actually go through, and I think it captures it really well
right,
in the design of this film.
yeah. And then when she ends up going to
Bunker.
like a commune or
Oh yeah.
whatever it is, I don't know, and like all the people there were just like so weird,
Well, like I said, it's
and
these
they were like
disorders.
literally all like her, and I don't know, it was a
She
little
went to a camp.
much.
Basically, it's like the camp from
Yeah, it was like church camp,
yeah, but it
but
also looked
people
like
were she was pulling up in the cab, and the lady started yelling at the guy, "Don't come up here! You're contaminating the whole place!" Like
yeah,
so weird.
yes. But I think that also reminded me of the end of last month's episode of movies that I recommended was that drug one. I can't think of the name of it now. For some reason, I can't think of the title. But how they ended up on the camp of in the end, where he's basically working in the fields of the poppy seed. I think that it reminded me of that ending.
Right.
I don't know why, but it just did.
Yeah.
But I like this movie for that particular reason, where it puts me in her shoes. It actually gives the voice to those people who have these disorders. It gives us recognition of these disorders, and I think understanding these disorders and what these people go through, I think he captured it really well for his audience that wouldn't normally be able to recognize these disorders. And I think that, like I said, I think it does, and I think she captures it very well.
Right.
Like I said, I think this was one of the best acting for Julianne Moore that I recognize in her catalog, personally. I don't know. But
Cool.
anyway, next movie on the list is Chris's Midnight Meat Train.
The Midnight Meat Train. Again,
I like
another atmospheric movie.
Yes.
It's got Vinnie Jones,
I don't like the payoff.
who Guy Ritchie made famous with Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels and Snatch. Bradley Cooper.
Yep.
And
Love him.
Leslie Bibb.
Love her.
Actually, I think Brooke Shields is in this movie too at some point.
She's the art dealer or the manager of an art gallery or something like that.
So like people are missing. They go on this train
randomly,
and end up missing randomly, and Bradley Cooper's kind of
photographer.
He's like taking pictures on the train and stuff, and he starts seeing weird stuff going on, and
the Midnight Train.
So he starts kind of investigating it, and then you didn't like the payoff. No. I loved the payoff. I thought the payoff was so.
I thought it was so predictable.
Out of left field. Really?
I thought it was very predictable.
I thought it was so far out of left field that I was just like, what?
Yeah, I saw that happening. Like, I mean, I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, man. I saw it. I knew. I was like, don't do this. Don't do this. Because.
See, I loved it. I loved the payoff.
We'll talk about it. So I don't want to give anything away, right. But we'll talk about it after the show. But I saw it coming. I don't know how I saw it, but I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
It was just.
But it's real dark and.
It is very dark. And, I like how
slow moving again, like Honeymoon. Slow moving atmosphere building.
But it felt real. Like it felt. Like I said, I love those movies where you can, like, put yourself, like you can feel it, like in your bones, or feel it, just the chills up your arm. Like you can feel what Bradley Cooper is going through during this whole, like, he's got that paranoia thing going. He's got that whole, like, you feel and how he was feeling during that whole movie. I think they captured it very well too. I don't know like I said, I don't know when I knew it was going to happen, but I knew it. I just, for some reason, I was so disappointed. So disappointed. I just,
Really? Dang, I
yeah.
loved it.
Like I said,
That's what
I
I
don't
liked
know.
most about it was the
Really?
ending. Yeah.
I think I don't know where I wanted it to go. Like the other movie, like Honeymoon. I knew where I wanted that to go,
Mhm.
but this one I didn't know where I wanted it to go. Like
Right.
I thought it was just I felt I really don't know where I wanted to go, but I did not want it to go there. I just it was like
Yeah,
I
I
did
loved
not
it.
want the train to get off at that station.
Right.
I did not want it to get. I wanted it to keep going and just go through the tunnel. I don't know. I
Yeah,
just
it's a horror movie. It's bloody and
Yeah, very graphic. I loved
um,
how they did it. For it's very if you like blood, you like well, it crosses that line of torture type of deal,
mhm,
torture porn type.
torture porn.
It doesn't cross that line, but it comes
It's
close to it.
close, right?
It comes close to it. It's very brutal. It's very menacing. It's very like I said, it's very atmospheric where you can actually attach yourself to what's going on. And
Mhm.
I think, like I said, they captured it very well. And I think it's a great watch. I've seen it. I've seen it played on Pluto TV,
Mhm.
on the horror channel. If you guys want to give it a gander, and if you don't want it, if you can't find it anywhere, but I know definitely I've seen it on their live TV on Pluto
Yeah.
TV.
I'm sure you can find it on Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, something like that. I'm sure it's on one of
Yes,
those
yes.
streaming sites. But yeah, cool movie. If you're into horror, definitely a must watch.
And a Bradley Cooper fan,
Yeah, Bradley Cooper was
it
good.
gives you a definitely a new
Yeah, because back then he was known for the Hangover movies and
yeah.
Mr. Funny Guy, and now
He
he
had no
made a
depth.
serious
Now,
role.
yep,
And now he's probably doing more dramas than
yep.
comedies. I mean, you hardly ever
Silver
see him in a
Linings
comedy.
Playbook. I think that was his.
Yeah, The Stars Born.
Yep.
Um,
I think he's just. I love Bradley Cooper. I love everything that he
yeah, he's
does.
really good.
I think he's got so much depth to him
Mhm.
that he can pretty much capture any role. I
Absolutely.
think I don't know. I don't think he can do the action hero thing, but I think he can do everything else.
Right.
The action hero, I just don't see him. I just don't.
Well, that
Like
movie,
18, he did 18, but
um,
he's not really face. He was facing 18, but he wasn't really the action hero.
right.
He was the face.
Well, he was in the one where you take the pill and you
Limitless.
Limitless, right?
I don't. I really. He's not really
Kind of
action.
superhero-y, not really, but
Nah, I mean, super in depth thinking. I just.
right.
I mean, like I said, I just don't see him in this like the whole action hero role. He's not like a like I can see,
I think he's too pretty to be
but then you can say the same
that.
thing for Chris Evans, and he
Yeah.
killed it.
But
So
Captain America is pretty.
yes, but so
So could Bradley Cooper play Captain America?
no.
I don't think so.
no, I don't think so. Like I said, but that's why I can't fit Bradley Cooper in the action hero
Right.
type of role.
Like I think Bradley Cooper is like more regular guy.
Mhm.
Like he's not jacked for his body.
I mean, and he's definitely
Good looking guy,
Yeah.
like just kind of an average person.
I think he's like 5'9",
Yeah,
5'10",
like just an average guy.
compared to Chris Evans is 6'2".
Right.
But like I said, I just don't think he would have that role of the action hero. I don't think he
Right.
would play a super. He plays Rocket Raccoon.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that.
So like he's just not built for
Yeah. I
action
agree.
movies. I think he's got so much depth and so he's very well rounded. He just has that little notch of the pie that he just can't do,
Right.
which is the action hero.
Which that's fine.
He
Keep
touches
doing what
it.
you're doing, Bradley.
Exactly, and he touches it with A-Team, but he just doesn't cross that line. He's just not really like a judo fighter. Like I
Right.
can't see him doing those roles. I
Like
mean,
punching people.
yeah, like I mean, if he like in the future does get a role like that, I don't know if I can actually. I don't think he can sell it to me
Mhm.
because I just don't see him in that type of role.
Right.
Like he's just not. Like I don't think of Bradley Cooper action star. Like Chris Evans, I can think Chris Evans is probably one of the most well-rounded Hollywood stars that I could possibly think of. He does dramatic, he does comedy, he does action hero. I think Chris Evans is one of the most well-rounded actors in all of Hollywood, and I think I can see him in any role that anyone. Literally, I can't think of a role that he would not be able to do. Horror, I think he could pull off a horror movie.
Oh yeah.
Like I think I think he could be a killer in a movie and people would love it.
Yeah.
I just think he has that ability where he can just do anything.
Right.
Bradley Cooper, I think he could do the killer too. I think people would like they wouldn't expect it. But if you saw it, you'd be like, oh yeah,
Right.
yeah, he could. Oh yeah, and I think he's just. I think those two actors have specific abilities, and I think they're very well rounded. Just Bradley Cooper just does not have that notch that Chris
Right.
Evans has. And I mean, I don't want this be a sweat Chris Evans type podcast, but I think he's just one of the biggest actors in,
Yeah, I agree.
or the best actors in Hollywood today. Because he even directs too. Like he's got movies that he's directed.
Right.
I'll probably bring it up on the next list because he's on. I just really like his movies. Okay.
Obviously.
Yes. Like I said, he's so talented. I really have a very high respect for Chris Evans and Bradley Cooper too. Bradley Cooper is just well rounded in almost every aspect.
Yep.
Next movie, Little Men. Now, what was that?
Another one, man. Like, it was. If they took out all the B-roll footage of kids skating down the sidewalk and crap, the movie would have been like a half hour long. Like there were
It's
10-minute.
It's another art movie.
There were 10-minute stints in this movie where there was no dialogue, nothing going on. It was just two kids playing in a park. And I was just like, oh my God,
That's
like
how it was
let's
living in
move
the city,
on.
growing up.
And the movie's only an hour and a half. And like 30 minutes of it, the 40 minutes of it is just like B-roll. I was like, oh my God.
I really like this movie. I think
It was all right. I mean,
I really like what Greg Kinnear is doing.
I liked the characters. Like I like Greg Kinnear. I like Greg Kinnear a lot, actually.
Yes.
The main kid,
He doesn't do big budget movies anymore. He just does movies like this.
the main kid, his friend is,
I think his name is Tony.
yeah, I don't remember his name, but the New Yorker kid, you know, I loved that kid. Like I thought he was great in that movie. I mean, it's basically about a family whose dad passes away and they inherit his home, and underneath the home, which is like part of the building, the dad rented out the space, a storefront,
To a dressmaker.
to a lady that has a dress shop. And you know, the new people coming in expect her to pay more, which she wasn't paying a whole lot, and there's some tension there. But meanwhile, the two boys become like best friends.
Yeah.
So there's kind of like the tension between the two families, yet the kids are best friends. And then there's a point where the kids won't talk to the parents.
Yeah.
And the parents
I
get all
love
pissed
that
off
because
at them.
it actually made me think out like when I was a kid. I was like, I used to be petty like that.
Right.
You're not petty, but I used to be very brutal like that.
Right. I mean, I liked the story. I liked the relationship. I just didn't like the way it was made. Like again, too much B-roll, not enough substance, like scenes. If they had made it like a 40-minute short, I think it would have been a really, really good movie.
Yeah.
But I just wanted the story to keep moving on, and it would just like lag for 5 minutes of nothing going on, and then it would pick back up again. And I didn't like that.
It was that
part.
whole art design type.
Yeah, it was almost like they wrote a script and it was only like 40 pages, and they were like, "Well, shit, how are we gonna make it a feature?"
Sounds
and
like a lot of movies that you do.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like, damn it, it's
Me
all
and Sean,
over already.
we were like, "Man, we need 5 minutes. Hey, let's do a 5-minute shower scene." Okay, you know, and literally that's what this movie was like. Just a lot of nothing.
And maybe they did it for. I mean, they added a lot of stuff. Maybe for a different festival that had to be a certain time.
Yeah.
Like maybe they.
I think it was like an hour and 28 minutes.
It was. It's definitely a short movie, but I like the whole. I like the whole kids living in the city and the friendship. I love the child acting of this movie.
Yeah, they were great.
I think that I don't say it too often. These kids acted really well.
Yeah, they were both great.
Like I don't know how these kids acted so well in like I mean they weren't in the presence of like big A actors, but there was some good actors in there too. That one guy who played Doc Ock was in the movie. I can't think of his name, but he I mean he's not a big actor, but he's got a big resume, and these kids were amazing. I think these kids were really good for being kids. I think these kids have depth. I think the kids had good acting chops where they were able to approach these real life scenarios that they would not have, that they would like as a regular kid, you don't have these type of emotions. You don't have these type of like depth. like I just think they portrayed adult emotions
Right.
as kids,
Mhm.
and I think I just liked how they did it. I think that the building a lot of the B-roll, them building the relationship. I
Yeah.
think it was them pretty
But it was
much.
just literally like him on a skateboard and the other kid on a scooter
But that's what we
for
did.
like 5 minutes going through the city. It's like, all right, I can see doing it for like maybe a minute or 30 seconds. But geez, 5 minutes.
When you were growing up, you
And
did.
again, I liked the movie. I thought it was a good movie. It was a good story, and the actors were all on point. It's just, I just didn't like the way they made it. I wish they had added more substance stuff going on instead of just kids playing in a park. It was just too much.
And it was basically putting in the shoes of the like you were supposed to be in the shoes of the kids where these families were put against each other. I mean, there's not bad blood or anything like that. It was just in awkward or in tough situations that the parents were being portrayed to the kids as and it's a movie about parenting, coming of age, understanding the situations.
Mhm.
It was a movie where you just have to the kids had to recognize what the family was going through and
Right.
what different scenarios and try to come to it in an adult fashion where the
Hmm.
kids were doing
Yeah, they
it.
were like, what, or preteen, or
Yeah, I think they were
they were
13.
like 13, 14 years old.
Yeah, so that they were trying to understand adult emotions in the movie and being able to try to understand the situation, and they
Mhm.
were unable to do so. They didn't know how serious. I mean, I don't. I mean, I understand the situation between the families,
Mhm.
but I don't think it was. But it's a real. It felt real, like the
Mhm.
situation. Like I can
Sure.
see how the father had a great relationship with her, and that
It was very awkward.
yes,
The conversations with the lady that did the dresses, and she was foreign too. Like
yeah,
she didn't speak
I,
English that great.
yep,
And then, when the new family comes in, just those conversations where Greg Kinnear basically had to tell her, "Yeah, I need you to pay more money,
yeah,
or you're gonna have to leave,"
yeah.
was so awkward and painful to watch that scene between them two, because that's a hard conversation. I mean, this
It
lady
is a
was
very
there
hard.
for like 20 years,
Yep.
and now all of a sudden the new people are coming in and
And she had such a
booting her out.
relationship with the
Yeah,
father, and basically she had a close
and they
relationship with the
didn't.
father than
And that was the thing. It's like I wish they had gone further about that relationship between the dad and the lady,
yeah,
because it felt like something was going to come out about it,
yeah,
and
like he was,
like her son was his
yeah.
dad's son or something, and I wanted it to like progress, but it just kind of it was just forgotten.
But
Like, yeah, me and your dad had a relationship, and maybe they were
but
intimate or whatever.
I think the filmmaker wanted us to see it from the kids' perspective because
Mhm.
the kids, like I said, they don't know the relationships. They don't understand the relationship that either the father or the mother. I mean, the kid didn't even mention the grandfather. Didn't
Right.
know, probably didn't even know him really that much. I think
Mhm.
it was just the mom that had the relationship. So, as being putting in the shoes of the kids, trying to understand the situation, I think the film director put us in the kids' shoes where
Mhm.
they're basically just seeing the like the
What's on the surface.
yes, and I think that like I said, I think that's what the director wanted to do because I didn't maybe the kid didn't, or I think his name is Tony. I really think the
Yeah,
kid's
it
name
was
is Tony.
done.
I think he didn't see that relationship or didn't understand the
Mhm.
father and mother. Like he said, she said that she felt a part of the family more so than the kids were, which was Greg Kinnear's character and the sister, because they didn't really know each other.
Right.
Like if they had such great relationships with their father, they would know who this lady was.
Right.
But they said they haven't visited in like 10 years, and that they were so like they were like all I got was the apartment or what. Like it was just very like the kids were very like Greg Kinnear's character and I mean not so much the Greg Kinnear's character, it was more the sister that was more of a pin in my ass. But I think that how they put us in the kids' shoes, looking at the situation at surface, I think it definitely did its toll. I mean, I guess you didn't like the execution of it because it,
Yeah, there was just too much extra nonsense. And I'm all for B-roll here to make something interesting or
yeah.
fill time, but I just felt like they kind of overdid it with the time filler stuff.
So it'll take about like 15, 20 minutes of B-roll out in
Yeah.
an hour movie still.
Yeah, if it's an
So-
hour movie, I love it. I think it's a great movie.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely could see that. Like I said, I think putting us in, I think the whole, they wanted to capture being in, have the film understand or have the audience understand that you are in the kids' shoes. This is what, them building the relationship. This is, as kids, that's what we did. Like we rode bikes. We didn't say words sometimes. We would just ride a bike next to our friend trying to just build that rapport.
And that's all fine.
And I think they just, because they,
Damn, 15 minutes of that in the movie is like, okay, we get it.
yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, I like the whole package. I did want that movie to go in a different direction, but it didn't.
Right.
But like I said, it definitely captured the whole putting us in the kids' shoes,
Mhm.
and I think it did it well.
Sure.
So yeah. All right, next movie on our list, Big Night.
Love Big Night.
Yes,
Such a good movie.
I definitely had familiarity with the situation. Had grown up with an Italian family who
Same
had
here.
a restaurant, and when they first got here, they had a restaurant, and we pretty much grew up in. Well, us, it was a pizzeria restaurant, so it was definitely very similar, similar to that. Tell us a little bit about Big Night.
So the movie is basically two Italian immigrants come to New York and they open a restaurant, and they're supposed to have Louis Prima, who is the big singer at the time, come to the restaurant. They're having like this big opening night of the restaurant, and they're inviting all these people. And Louis Prima is supposed to be the big guest. So they're basically luring people to the restaurant, saying that he's going to be there.
Yeah.
And the cool part, it's a cooking movie,
Yes.
basically. I mean, it's two guys are chefs, and if you like cooking movies like Chef or Ratatouille, stuff like that, you'll definitely like this movie. But they make something called timpani, and it's a giant. It's like a giant cake. Like it looks like a cake. It's huge,
Or a big cheese roll,
and it's just
breaded.
dumped with freaking pastas and meats and boiled eggs, and like all this stuff in this giant thing. And they're literally making this throughout the movie, this giant thing.
Yeah.
And it's like I guess a pie crust that they put in. It's like a dough, and
it's
they
a dough
fill it
breading.
with all this
Yeah.
stuff. Then they fold the
Or
dough
cake.
over all the ingredients and then bake it. And it's like
It's like the creme de la creme. It's
It's
like
a giant
it's so
pie
good.
full of goodness, I guess.
A pie full of Italian cuisine.
Right. And my favorite part is when they cut this thing and they take this big slice out of it, and you're just like, oh my God, I want to make that.
Yes, it looks so good. I'm
Like, I've been
oh.
wanting to make that for years, and I don't have the will. Like, it looks like it's so intricate and so much stuff that it would probably cost like $100 to make this thing.
Well, it also depends how big you want it.
Yeah,
too.
like,
I
it's
think the one they
crazy.
had was like this big. It was like a foot wide.
Yeah, it was
like,
huge. It was
and
huge.
they made like 3 of them.
Yeah.
It was like, oh man, and it looks so good. Definitely
Right.
looks so good.
And I don't know. It's about this opening night of this restaurant. And
Minnie
Louis
Driver's in the
Prima-
movie.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Minnie Driver.
Big fan of Minnie Driver.
I love Minnie Driver. Why can't I think of the actors' names?
Stanley Tucci.
Yep. I mean, the chef, the other brother, Stanley. I love him. Like I said, this is the second movie on our list that we've had him in. Big fan of him, and the brother who's just the guy who played Monk.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name. I really can't think of his name, but you know what? I think he portrayed that Italian immigrant very well. I think he's very short on American language. He was very
So Tony Shalhoub.
Shalhoub, yeah. And
Mark Anthony's in it.
yeah, oh yeah, very young. I don't remember hearing a line from him.
Yeah.
He was in the movie the entire time, but I don't think he spoke once. I think it was just him.
Isabella Rossellini, Liev Schreiber.
Yeah. I good cast, good acting, but I think I had that whole overall feeling that they literally it didn't feel like it was an actual restaurant. It was on a soundstage. It was just literally all done on a soundstage. and it was very like, and it didn't hide that fact either.
Right.
Like it just felt like it was on a soundstage, like
Mhm.
like it just felt like a TV show soundstage.
Right.
That's what it looked like. That's
And
what
there
it
was
felt like.
like tense moments because they didn't know if Louis Primo was going to show up or not. And
Yes.
I'm not going to reveal whether he shows up or not. But that was like
Oh yeah.
they were like waiting for him to show, and
Well,
he
they
was
balanced the whole business basically
on that night.
That's why it was big night.
Right.
They dropped all their money onto it just to like. Hopefully, it was pretty much it. They're building it, and hopefully they come. And that's what the big night was all about. It was like
Right.
we're gonna invite all these people, and like a big opening, and then make this fantastic menu. Wasn't really like a restaurant full menu. It was like a one big family meal
Right.
type of
Mhm.
thing. It wasn't like a sit at the table and order. It was a whole. I think it was 5 or 6 courses. It looked so good,
Yeah.
so good. Like everything of it, like every.
Just the allure of just watching all the food. And
Oh yeah, and I think it definitely also captured the Italian difficulty when early Italian immigrants.
Mhm.
I think it definitely captured that whole coming to America and understanding the culture,
Right.
being in debt and dealing with the language barriers as well as trying to be a part of society. I think it definitely
Right.
goes into that whole understanding, and it helps with that whole understanding that culture.
Mhm.
Being from Italian descent myself, I think that my grandfather and grandmother and their fathers and mothers had to deal with that very, very much so, and it definitely made me able to see such difficult scenarios that coming into America and understanding the culture.
Right.
It's very difficult. Speaking of culture, my last recommendation was if you like. I mean, this is a chick flick for the most part, but it's also about the LGBTQ community, also about the Chinese culture. It's understanding like how difficult it was being gay and being in the Chinese culture, which is basically a no-no.
Right.
This movie is Saving Face from 2004. Now it's subtitled. Well, 90% of it's subtitled.
And that's what's funny is Tony told me, yeah, I don't watch subtitled movies. And then he recommends this one, and I'm watching it, and I'm like,
I think
what?
I think it was just because it was easier for me to follow
I think it's
along.
more like 70% with subtitles.
Okay, yeah. I mean, because she's a doctor in America who's
it doesn't really bother me, but
no,
whatever.
But I mean, the subtitles but I was able to follow along really well. Like a lot of subtitle movies are just like not dubbed, but the way they do it, it's just they do a whole statement and then it's the line, and it's like what?
Right.
So I think it made me
the subtitles didn't take me out of it.
Yeah. Which a lot of times subtitles will take me out of it because like I said, following along is like I can write, I know how to read, but at the same time, like I don't want it to separate myself from the
actual.
But the way the fashion of this movie was made, I mean, it's not a fast-moving movie. It's not like an action. It's like I don't need to I can actually be involved in the scene.
Right.
Like I can actually follow along. Where emotion, okay. Mm-hmm. I feel that their emotion. This is
one scene in particular.
Which one?
That sex scene was pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, I mean that one. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, it was a great scene.
But this movie dives into the Chinese culture and how close knit and how they wanted Chinese to marry Chinese.
Right, and it's more like how the parents control or try to control the kids.
That's culturally.
And it seemed like the girl was too American to be controlled, and she was kind of like rebelling, I guess, against her mom, and
then ultimately,
like how the mom handled it, and
then the mother gets pregnant.
Yeah.
Out of marriage.
Yeah, it was almost like the girl ends up being gay.
Yes, the main character.
She's telling her mom, "I'm gay," and her mom's like, "Yeah, no, you're not."
No. Like you're going to marry. You're going to marry a successful man. Like she had she was pregnant out of wedlock. No, through the entire movie, you don't know who the father is,
Right.
which is a big shame in Chinese culture.
Mhm.
Like having a child outside of marriage is definitely frowned upon in that culture. So basically, her father is these people age. I really wish I had the genetics of a Chinese person because
Yeah, I know, right.
I would never age. But the father was just so like they disowned her. They
Right.
out of their she kicked his daughter out of the community for not being married and being pregnant. And she moved in with the main character, the daughter, who was a lesbian. And now basically she's dealing with being a lesbian, and then the mother is dealing with being pregnant and being disowned from the father. And then during that whole time, the father's like, "Who's the father?" And then you have to get married or to be back in our community.
Right.
I just how they dealt with it, how they approached it. I think it was very not with kid gloves, but they were able to show the struggle between both of these characters. And I think that even though the mother pregnancy was a side story, the big story was her being a lesbian in Chinese culture and her actually accepting it herself of being a lesbian,
Right.
And how she was able to like keep it from the mother and how she wanted to keep the secret or say it or reveal it to like it's just she's going through back and forth, back and forth. She just didn't even know like if she was allowed to have these feelings. Well, she wasn't, but in her culture. I mean, but in reality, it's just I just think it was
You
just
like what you like.
yeah, and I just think it was a good story to be told, and I think it's a very difficult scenario and difficult topic for such a culture, and then the culture itself is a difficult topic all in itself because of how they are the hierarchy of family. Basically, it's what it is. It's the father and the mother. The father is they're a very patriarchy type society.
Right.
So the father's like the king, and like you follow the orders and you listen to him, and it's basically they're branching off of that. And I think it's how it happens. I think I think it does pay off well.
Yeah, it was okay.
Nice.
It was all right.
So this episode of 10 movies you have probably not seen or heard of has
That are pretty good.
Yes. I think we hit different strides. I think we had a lot of different type of movies.
Yeah, a couple quirky movies, some family dramas,
some artsy films,
some horror movies.
Yeah, I think the list is pretty well rounded.
So.
I think the list was pretty well rounded, and
and we'll try to do that next month for you.
Yeah, next month. I already have 2 planned out.
Yeah, I got like 8.
Yeah, well, you're
This is when I think of one, I'll just jot it down on my phone.
But that's what I do too. Like or whenever I see something that reminds me of one, I'm like, oh yeah.
Right.
I'll just write it down right now. I think I have 2 listed so far.
Get on it.
So next month we will definitely have another list. So this is volume 2. Once again, I was joined with Chris Leto from Reaper Films.
Yes, sir.
And thank you guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you get notified every time we put up a new video. You guys have a great day. Be happy, be safe.